nobody new, right?
Yes, all who's new want to raise your hands and clean up. Alvin. Okay.
Welcome to Common Ground, Albert.
Welcome, right?
Welcome. Get that pad.
Yes. You got his own pad.
Yes, let me get my pad and I can handle to this. Anthony, you can go ahead and start.
Okay. Well, good morning, and I'm great. I'm honored to be here. Good morning. Many of you I've met here before and at church and other places, and this is one of the tasks of ministry that I always totally enjoy is coming to Common Grounds. Early on in my ministry, before some of you was even here, I've been coming, so I always look forward. A good friend and brother across the way in the green shirt, he gives me a hard time. He tries to always invite me during school time and make me feel bad because I can't come. And I'm working, so I have to come during the summer. And I'm like, put me on for the summer. If you put me on for the summer, I'll be here. So I'm here. It's my understanding today, and the theme is responsibility, correct?
Yeah.
So we just want to kind of start off, and this is definitely interactive. I'm going to throw out some thoughts. I did a little research on the subject, responsibility, but I want to definitely hear what you think responsibility is, and hopefully we can come up with some things together that will help make all of our lives better. Because I don't come just to give information. I come to get information because my life is stronger because my interactions with you. So probably the richest person when we leave here today is going to be me, because I'm going to gain all the information, your experiences, your stories, and everything that concerns responsibility. So let's start off by somebody give me a definition of responsibility. What would you say responsibility is, or being a responsible person?
Taking ownership of your own.
Ownership, okay?
Respond to action.
Okay.
Taking care of things in your life.
Okay.
Owning up to your own action.
Okay.
Accountable for your own action.
Okay, accountable. Okay. Anyone else? Those are some of the definitions when I went to dictionary.com. You know, I get on my phone, get on my computer and look up the words. We live in a time where information is readily available. And somebody said a word, accountability. In being responsible, we should be accountable. That is easy to find information. So we can't make excuses for knowing in life almost anything we need to know now, because it's just a cell phone away. You don't even have to have a computer. Most of us on our cell phone have internet access. And that's a perfect example of being accountable. When somebody says something crazy, when a doctor tells you something crazy that doesn't make sense, pretty much all you need to do is pick up your phone, Google, and put that question in. And in most cases, you can find some helpful information. So to say I didn't know is not a reliable answer in 2015.
Anthony, can I say something to you?
Yes.
I think you're talking to my friend over here too, but she just giggling.
She sure did, because she got to be accountable, because she just gave me a bag of weed. So you got to take responsibility when the police come up here now.
Okay, so we're going to work on accountability. That's the word. Let's say that, accountability.
Accountability.
Okay, if you make your notes, you write anything down, that might be a word for this week. They define responsibility as the state or fact of being responsible, answerable, or accountable, one of our words, for something within our power, our control, or our management. And I think that's really important, because some things we can't control. Okay? And we have to learn and understand the things that we can control, we have power over. Everything we can't control. all the thoughts in your parents, your spouses, your friends' heads. You can't control that. So you can't take responsibility for all of that. Your life, for the most part, you have a lot that you can play in that. Does that make sense? Okay, so responsibility, noun, person, place, or thing, or an action. And then I looked up the word responsible, which is an adjective, which is a way of describing it. And it says having the capacity and therefore accountable and capable of moral decisions, which includes moral decisions, the things that you think are right, you understand are right, rational thought or action. Now, when Mr. Peter invited me, he told me we want to look at kind of like what the Bible says about accountability. Again, you know where I go, right? Google, do some search, find some information. And in one article, there is like a real long list of what the Bible says about accountability. But I came up with about 7 scriptures that I want to share with you today on accountability. The first one says, bearing your own load. Bearing your own load. And the scripture is found in Galatians. It's the 6th chapter, the 4th through the 5th verse. And I'm just going to read it. But let each one test his own work, and then his reason to boast will be in himself alone and not in his neighbor. For each will have to bear his own load. Okay, put it on mama, daddy,
That's right.
but yourself, ourself. Each one of us is responsible and accountable and answerable for our own load. The next area, any comments? Feel to interject whenever you have something to say. Comments, questions, or whatever. The next one is giving an account to God. And that's based on Romans the 14th, the 10th, and the 12th verse. For we will stand before the judgment seat of God. So then each of us will give an account of himself to God. And I think probably most people in here believe in some form of a supreme being.
That's right.
Okay? I'm loose. I was raised as a Baptist. Been in the Baptist church about 50-some years. But I believe it goes beyond even Jesus. That there are other forms of reaching God. And I believe if heaven is how most of us have been taught, when we get there, we're going to run into and bump into some people we'll be surprised to see. And some of them are going to be Muslims. Some of them are going to be Jews. Some of them are going to be Hindus. So I'm open to however you reach the higher being. But I do think there is a level of accountability to your higher being. Third area, now we've been talking about ourselves. But the Bible also says that there's an area of responsible for others stumbling. For others stumbling. What do you think that means without me reading the scripture? We're responsible for others stumbling.
I know that.
That means gonna be a hinder block to others that cause them
Okay.
the message.
But you know, well, I look at it as we are our brother's keeper. If we know something and we withheld holding, then we hindering them from growing as well. So if you got it, share it.
So like giving your sister or brother a bag of weed, that would be could be considered stumbling, right? That could be considered causing them to what? And why in this environment would that possibly be a way to cause them to stumble?
Because they might get addicted to it and they might not be able to come out of it.
Right.
You know what, on that weed, it depends on what kind of weed it is.
What kind of system? Grade 8?
But that's a good example of something, because for one person to smoke a joint, and I assume that's not really real weed, okay? Y'all didn't have me. I knew what was going on. Okay. For some people, just to smoke a joint is just to smoke a joint. They can smoke it, and if they're in the right state, it wouldn't even be what? Illegal, right?
Well, it's medication now.
Okay, it would just be medication, okay, and acceptable. So that wouldn't be a problem. But for someone else, what could that lead to?
Addiction.
Addiction, okay?
Is it addictive?
Huh?
Is it addictive?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah,
To who?
To who? Right.
Right. But for some people, but you would agree, for some people, they could be addictive, or it could lead them to what? Another level, right?
Right.
Of drug consumption.
A
Well,
gateway.
not
Okay.
necessarily.
But for some people,
Because there are people who've done it for years and they haven't gone.
right, but what
And
did I
having to
say?
show,
It's-
and
yeah,
having to
it's-
show
Okay,
addictive
but
traits to it.
right, you missed my
There's-
point. What was my point?
It's a
For
some.
some people, right?
Okay.
So that would be, right? I did preface it by saying that, right?
Some you did.
Okay, for some people, it could lead them into other things.
Mr. Greene, I believe for all people, when you smoke weed or something, it might not lead you into other drugs, some sexual act that you usually wouldn't do, bringing people in your house that you usually wouldn't do. It's gonna have some kind of effect on each and everybody when you smoke something that's not natural for your
Do
body.
you smoke?
No, I don't smoke.
Okay, then you can't judge.
It's not even a matter of judgment. What it is a matter of, it is against the law. Are you willing to give up your freedom for it? Now, if you're willing to give up your freedom for it, that is a problem. If it's not prescribed, it's just like the same thing with Valium or anything else. If it's not prescribed, then it's not legal. It isn't a legal drug. So therefore, in our society, right, if you're smoking it, period.
You know why it's not legal?
If you're smoking it, period, you know, you are willing to do that by jeopardizing your freedom. And that's something wrong with that. You know, now as far as drinking is concerned, a lot of what I've heard was relative to drinking. It's legal, but still yet alone it has some addictive quality to some people, not everybody else. But the major thing about marijuana is that it is illegal.
Not in all
It is
states.
not.
It's not in all states.
Not in all states.
Y'all.
But I'm saying, you know, am I willing to sacrifice my freedom, right, for a drug? See, so I have to look at myself, like we're responsible for our own loads.
Right.
And that's how it's connected.
And that's
Yes,
where
that's
we
true.
want to get
Right.
back to
That's
is,
right.
what's
Thank
our
you.
thing here? Responsibility. Okay, and this discussion is good. But one of the tips in becoming a responsible person is not to make excuses.
All right.
Okay? If you're writing anything down, to me that's the number one thing, is not to make excuses. And hear me out. We can always, it's okay for me to stand up? We can always go around and create excuses or what ifs. What ifs? That's part of what I talked about in my sermon Sunday. What if? Okay? We can come up with ways of developing excuses. And as intelligent human beings, which God created us all in His image, so that means we're great, we have great ways of making excuses for poor choices. I know no one in here other than me, okay? No one in here other than me is guilty of making outstanding excuses for poor choices.
Everybody raise our hand.
And until we come to the point of understanding this was a poor excuse, I will always continuously repeat those behaviors that lead me not getting to my greatness.
You know, even all that takes you back to ownership.
Right. And that's what responsibility and becoming a responsible person is. Because if you notice, we went into a big debate over something very simple.
Yes.
Number one, a couple good things were pointed out. It's illegal. We live in Georgia. Number one, it's still illegal. That's okay. So that pretty much says none of us in here, for the most part, should be smoking weed because we stand getting in trouble for doing it. I mean,
Well, I feel like this here, when it comes to smoking weed, look at the difference in it, okay? I haven't heard a case yet that anyone has caught cancer for smoking weed. I've heard of many benefits that it does have, okay? But yet again, you're right, it is illegal. Let's talk about the legal product that you can buy over the counter that you know that is killing you, that is a choice to make, which is cigarettes. And it's been known, fact, the warning sign on the side of the package that says going to cause cancer. After you smoke damn near 100 packs within the last 20 years or so, or less than, I would say, more than 100 packs in 20 years, what I'm saying, but the thing is that it's a legal substance that's known to everybody to cause cancer, but yet they still smoke it. Isn't that a choice or responsibility to your health as well?
That's your choice.
Okay, but yet it's legal though. I would rather take my chances on the illegal one that's benefiting my health than the legal one that isn't.
but that's a choice, right? And a large part of living in a country where we're free, and even when we go to our higher being, God gives us choices. And that's something that's the reason why we live in America and we don't want to leave, is because we believe in choices. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
now, the moment I took this bag of weed out of Mama Betsy's hand, I'm responsible for it. I can't, if the police walk in the door, I can't say it's hers. No, I took it out of her hand into mine. But I bet you 95% of the people would have said, oh, it's hers. It's hers. But the moment I took it out of her hand,
It became yours.
it became mine. I'm responsible for it because I could have said, no, I don't want it. You know, and there were a lot of people, not that a lot of people do that, even when it comes to sex, you know, and you know, and I'm never going to talk about Georgia because that's where my foot is at. I'm not talking about New York or California because I'm not out there. I'm talking about Georgia.
Right.
What's the laws here in Georgia? And I hear a lot of people, oh, it's legal in New York, but you sit on the park in Atlanta. You know, you're not sitting in the park in New York smoking weed. You're sitting in the park in Atlanta smoking weed. So when they come up to you, it's your responsibility. Then you can't say, oh, I'm from New York, we smoke weed. Well, you need to be in New York to smoke weed because if it's legal there, that's where you need to be.
If that's what you
And although, and we have to move on, although once he takes the weed, it's his responsibility. Our point here is we have a responsibility to keep others from stumbling. If Mother Betsy knows that that's an area that's a challenge to him, then it's not a good idea to challenge him. That's the point here. And the scripture that they use is Romans 14, 15 through 16. For if your brother is grieved by what you eat, you are no longer walking in love. By what you eat, do not destroy the one for whom Christ died. So you did not let what you regard as good be spoken of as evil. It's our responsibility, because we go back to that saying, am I my brother's keeper? I think somebody said that when we first got started today. We have to learn how to keep our brother. And brother means sister also, okay? We want to be people of equality. Either person, we have to learn how to help each other. Because for one person, they smoke a joint and that's the end. For somebody else, it takes them to another level, even as I heard Dwayne mention, to sexual choices and all of that. So we have a responsibility to keep others from stumbling. If it's something that you know that's going to be a hindrance to a person, maybe refrain from it for a while. Okay?
One major thing was sugar. See, it's legal, but it, you know, in excess it may cause diabetes.
Right.
When I lived with a roommate, he had diabetes, and you know, so I refrained from using sugar. I bought sugar substitutes. You see, so yes, that was because it just made sense to me not to have that tempting in front of him. You know, so then he will go into he would go into comas and have to go to the hospital and things like that. And, you know, it was undue. I can eat the sugar, and he can't.
The thing to be responsible for him.
Right.
And
Here.
I don't know anybody know what an alibiology is. An alibiology is a person that have an alibi for everything. That means having an excuse for everything. I smoke weed, but I'm going to look at the other person that's doing something else, and I'm going to shift the blame because I don't want the focus on me. I need to take responsibility for what I'm doing. I don't need to point out what somebody else is doing, what else is illegal, what ain't illegal. That ain't going to help me. I need to focus on me and see what I'm doing. If I'm doing meth, I don't need to look at him and say, he's smoking crack, so it's okay for me to smoke meth. I don't need to do that. That's an excuse to keep from taking responsibility. So I need to take responsibility for my action and stop shifting the blame and looking what somebody else is doing. Because it's not helping me.
But it goes back to ownership, I think. I mean, you're your brother's keeper, but like, it's like she passed him the bag of, I'm gonna say basil. You shifted the blame back to her because then she knows, but you didn't take ownership for yourself. So that's what I think is the big thing for what I'm getting out of ownership. Where are you willing to take ownership for?
No, I took ownership of it because
Yeah,
don't care what it was in this bag, but once I took it out of her hand, I took responsibility on my own to say, it could have been weed. I don't know, because I never smoked stuff. But it could have been. But once I took it out of her hand, it became mine.
Yeah.
You know, even if the police came in here, what is it? Ownership is, when you got it, it's yours.
9/10 of the law.
It can't be yours no more. I can't say it's hers. If I got it in my hand, it's mine. And I took ownership of it. That's why I told her, thank you for this bag of weed. I'm going to go outside and sell it because I don't smoke it.
And then going back to ownership, that's what I'm just trying to get a little focus. And we're talking, and pot seems to be a hot topic everywhere, but in Atlanta, you can walk anywhere, downtown, uptown, midtown, wherever, you smell that shit everywhere.
Sure.
So, again, this is ownership. And judging other people for their choice, that's their choice. Let people have their choice. That's not your responsibility.
Because I'm not putting my finger at you because you smoke your cancer stick.
Yeah, that's your choice.
I'm not putting my finger at you. That's your choice to smoke that. If you choose to smoke it, that's on you.
That's on you.
But it's at the same time, don't get mad when your lungs fill up with cancer.
Right.
You can't get mad at that.
Right, but the choice that you made.
Causes that reaction.
Right.
It's a cause and effect.
Right, you have to take ownership of your responsibility.
See, well, yes, I did this to me.
Right.
You know, I blackened my own lungs.
But can I ask one
to.
question? Can I ask you about that? How many people in here took ownership that they got AIDS on their own? Not that, oh, he gave me AIDS or she gave me AIDS. How many people actually took that ownership of their own? I know I did. I didn't blame nobody in the world that I had AIDS because I knew.
You earned it.
No, I didn't earn it. I knew it was my choice to have unprotected sex.
That's taking ownership. I feel like
I took ownership of that, but I have been places where other people say, oh, he gave me BD, or he gave me this, he gave me that. But you told that had the choice, unless you was raped.
That's what I mean, my friend, when I say earned, that's what I'm talking about. You've done things, you made choices to cause you to put yourself, you know, in that, at risk.
That's the same
you know
thing.
You've done
That's the same thing with carrying or transporting or smoking weed. At risk. See, so when you wind up in jail, you know, then therefore, it's right. You can't blame nobody else but yourself. So yes, but if you, there are some consequences to every action, right? But if I can prevent it, Meaning to say, you know, hey, I'm not smoking weed no more because I got busted for it. You see, you know, that's neither here nor there. I'm not smoking cigarettes no more because my breathing is short now. You see, it all comes to it all comes to a personal
I won't have sex no more because I've got HIV.
No.
What about that?
No. See, this is what I'm saying. When you start picking and drawing straws, right, and each and everything because you want to be right, then what happens is that you're reflecting it on everybody. You see, just concentrate on oneself.
Right, see what you have to say.
Okay, I heard an earlier statement brought up about the person that smokes cigarettes and they catching cancer. What happens to the individual who catch secondhand smoke from the result of being around people that smoke cancer? Is it their responsibility that they got cancer?
That's when you take ownership and you
To,
remove yourself.
I think,
Well, you could say, can they smoke around me? Or at least remove yourself from that environment. That's up to you to sit there and bring it in or not.
I don't think they talking about the responsibility of your intake is the responsibility that if I see somebody smoking and I know I don't like it, I'm crazy to just sit there and then devil it.
Okay.
Why not remove myself? That's responsibility.
That's your ownership.
Because I have asked people, okay, you not smoke around me. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't really smoke. I smoke cigarettes from time to time, but I don't smoke like that. And when I did smoke, period, the smoke actually made me sick. To the point where I would throw up from it. You know, the cigarette smoke itself. You know what I'm saying? So I would literally ask people, can you not smoke that around me?
Basically, I have a great big old giant oxygen machine in there. Right, and people come in and we're water smoke in my house. I think you can't smoke in there. I can't breathe. Right. I got a great big old giant. Don't you see that?
so let's move on. I think this is such an important topic, and we should discover this because it leads to discussion. If it wasn't important, now when I first started off, you know, everybody was kind of quiet in here, you know, okay. But then we started to put things out such as excuses.
That's right.
Okay, and then it leads to debate. And why does it lead to debate? Because these are some of the things we struggle with. Not you, but all of us. And if we are aware and we keep that in mind, it leads to us growing. And that's our ultimate goal, is to grow in life. That when I come back next summer, I hope I will not be in the same place. I hope that you will not be in the same place. That over these next 12 months, we will grow. Now, here's a couple thoughts about responsibility that I pulled up. It says, understand that responsibility is earned. Okay? People just don't consider you a responsible person because you are a person. It's something that has to be earned. It is not something you are entitled to. And when it comes to in life, depending on your choices, will determine where you go. Whether you're at work, school, or an extracurricular, you have to prove that you can handle the smaller stuff before you will be given more responsibility. Now, we already talked about this one, so I'm just going to read it and keep going. Stop making, who can fill in the blank for me? Excuses. Number 4, admit your mistake.
That's right. Absolutely.
Making the most of a mistake is a double whammy of responsibility. Not only does this transform time that was otherwise wasted into valuable course-altering experience, but it keeps you from wasting future time by ensuring that you don't repeat yourself. One of the key parts of accepting responsibility is being able to say, I really messed up. Anybody struggle with that other than me? I won't do it again. I know I'm the only one here. The next time you will find yourself in a similar situation, remind yourself about what you did wrong the last time and make sure you don't go down that path again. Stop blaming. That's something we said. Stop blaming other people for your problems. Stop complaining. Complaining is another useless habit of an irresponsible person. Stop complaining. If you do nothing but complain about your boss, about the weather, or about the ridiculous high prices of lattes at Starbucks, you won't get yourself very far. Complaining is another way of blaming the world for your problem instead of taking initiative and knowing what you can change. Every time you open your mouth to complain, stop yourself and say something positive instead. You'll be amazed by how much this changes your perspective. I have some friends that I'm going to have to put this into a message and send them, because I have to cut them off the phone. Love them dearly. If I need them, they're there for me. But it's a chore to talk to them. Because when I call them to see how they're doing, it turns into all the bad things in the world. Okay? I have this friend who was in a serious accident, actually. Could have cost him his life. And all he ended up with was a broke ankle. That's not something to take lightly. Okay? But it could have went the other way. And I've heard it come out their mouth. But then if I talk to them more than 30 seconds on the phone, it turns into all of the bad things that happen in the news. Okay? All those people he don't even know about. Okay? It's just a challenge. Called them on their birthday. I had to hang up on them because I called to wish them. I'm telling you the truth. Okay? See, y'all have the kind of friends out here. Friends that are all together. Okay? Call to wish them a happy birthday. Okay? You live to be another year. You older than me. Okay? So I know it's really a blessing. Okay? Because I thank God I've been here 57 years. Okay? You older than me. I think you turned 70 this birthday.
Wow.
And it just turned into all of one. I said, I gotta let you go. I'm in Walmart trying to find some pork chops. I gotta let you go. Because I don't want to hear all of this. Because I have a choice.
That's right.
That I can let them ruin my day, because people didn't just start dying. We live longer than we had. There's always been people cutting people with knives. Okay, now they shoot in school. When I was in school, they cut you with a knife. Okay, it didn't just start happening. I was in school much longer than y'all. Okay, long time ago, they would cut you with a knife. It didn't just start happening. It's a part of the world that some of it we're never going to understand. We'll never figure it out. So what's the sense in burdening myself and having an awful day because you're so negative? I'm going to keep going. Comments? Agree, disagree with any of that I just read to you? Agree?
Agree.
And again, take ownership for yourself, and that's hard for me to do sometimes. Well, not anymore, because all I can do is be responsible for what I do. And if somebody's doing something that I feel crosses my boundary, I'm not going to sit and argue with you about it anymore. I just because it's easy for me to take myself out of the situation.
But you know that's all that's expected of you. That's it. No more.
And that's all I can do. You know, I can't change you. I can't change you. I can change money and how I perceive it.
Right.
If that's your choice, fine. And I'm going to take ownership for me. I'm going to take myself out of it. You have a blessed day. Wish you well. Peace.
Sometimes if I feed into the problem, I wind up being a hostage. I actually wind up being a hostage.
Yeah.
It's somebody else's bull, basically. So I've learned to say no. You know, like somebody last night in the middle of the night decided that they're gonna step over my curfew and knock on my door. Right.
So let's say with some people that we have.
And I shut the door.
What's your name? What is it? Keith? What you have to say about that?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Stop it.
Go ahead.
No.
Like I said, I agree with mostly everything that we've been saying about that everyone should take ownership and responsibility for their actions and stop shifting blame. It's all about the personal choice of what you choose to deal with or not deal with.
What about over there?
Sometimes, you know, I don't know about y'all, but, you know, for me, sometimes, like, even when I do take responsibility for, you know, the things that I've done, no matter what the outcome is, sometimes, you know, it gets a little hard to keep moving forward, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it gets a little hard to actually say, okay, this is what I need to do, what's the next step? Sometimes it's hard to find out what that next step is, you know, and just keep trying, you know.
And that's all we can do. And I think that's so important because in the most of the information I've read, one point I thought about this morning is I think that's extremely important. It's also the kind of people we surround ourselves with. Because no one person has all the answers. I don't always have the answers inside of myself. Okay? And I'm a pastor and all that, and I preach and stand before folks and tell them what to do. And most of the time when I'm preaching and telling them what to do, it applies to me more than it applies to them. Yeah. That's the reality of life. But it's important the kind of people we surround ourselves also with. Even though I have negative friends that I've mentioned, and you better not tell anybody that I said that, okay? Because they'll figure out what I'm talking about. Okay. But the reality of it is, again, it goes back to choices. If all of my friends are negative, then I'm setting myself up for some real failure. Because eventually I'm going to start to take on that personality also. Yeah. So I think an important part of becoming responsible is the people we surround ourselves with, who can help us. They might not can help us in every situation, but they will be able to help us in some. If all of my people, you know, they say, quite often we need to surround ourselves with some people who can challenge us to go to the next level. If all of our friends are in the exact same place we are, they got the same amount of money, they living from paycheck to paycheck, just like I am, we're not going to get to the next level.
You know what? I don't think it's all about that. I think when you do all the outside stuff, you block your relationship with God. You put up some stumbling block. You put blocks everywhere. And you can't communicate with God like you need to communicate with God. When you're smoking weed all day, when you're smoking crack all day, you don't have that clear relationship with God. It ain't about nothing else. It's about a relationship with God. And when I do all that other extra stuff that I don't need to be doing, God can talk to me. God can give me the blessing that I need because I'm putting up blocks and I'm keeping the blessing from coming in. If that's what I want to do, that's fine. But I don't want to do that. I want a clear relationship with God. If I'm sitting there smoking weed, what kind of relationship I got with God? That's a bad relationship. If I'm smoking crack, if I'm drinking all day, I need to have a clear avenue so he can come in, I can communicate with him, and he can communicate with me. So that's the whole hit right there.
Okay, I'm going here, and there, and then over here, but I want to go back to that God part too.
Okay, I'll just have a question. If God is not a judging God, then why are we all sitting here discussing this about marijuana and drugs and all? If he does it, he hears everybody's complaints, wishes, hopes, dreams. He hears it all. So why are we sitting here talking about drugs and this and that and that? It's not going to change anything. He still hears everybody. He going to let everybody in the heaven that needs to go to heaven, then they're going to go to heaven. Y'all was talking about stuff outside your neck is crazy.
Over here. I'm coming back to that.
Yeah.
Let's listen up.
You made a good point about changing your environment, you know, and sometimes, you know, I understand sometimes people get afraid to change, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes, especially just like what he was saying, like, you know, smoking crack all day, smoking weed all day, you know, that's what you're used to. You know, you got some people that's been doing that for 20 years, you know what I'm saying? So we say, okay, let's go bike ride, and you're like, bike ride? I'm like, really? You know, so I think that was a good point.
Oh, and I just want to throw in, all of us sitting here, and when we think about the one another piece, no matter what we're discussing, and we have freedom to express ourselves. And so I think the most valuable thing is our being able to learn, our being able to grow, and to evaluate, what's being said, and then apply it to our lives. Because each one of us have difference. We have likeness, but we have difference. And so when we respect that, and each one of us take in what we need to take in according to what our life has been and what it is now and what we expect it to be. So that's the greatness of it all. Just the mere fact that we have the freedom to sit around this table and we can truly express ourselves. Now each one of us is on us, as getting back to responsibility, as to how we are going to respond, how we're going to act, how we're going to think or do according to what we've been exposed to at this time.
I want to say, my oldest brother, he does more drugs than anybody. And I once told him, God ain't gonna come ask me what I think about you to get into heaven. But while you're here on earth, you got to pay rent to live here. You got to pay the light bill to live here. You got to pay for your food to live here. And there are laws that are set to govern for everybody. I have no issue with my brothers smoking weed or drinking all they want to. But when you make that decision, that's going to affect me.
Right.
You got to think about me too when you make a decision. Like I tell people, I'm HIV positive. I got it on my chest. So I let people know what I am at all times. If they make that decision on what they want to do, once I let them know what it is, and they make the decision, it's not my responsibility anymore. Like I tell my nephews all the time, once you leave your mother and father's house, the world don't owe you nothing. It's up to you to get out there and get it. Like I tell people, I come down to common ground for what? For the food. That's my decision. That's my decision. But I love having Anthony here because I love coming down here when he speaks because he's a wonderful person. And we have to be accountable for our decision at all times. I've been arrested a bunch of times coming out that park, but that was my decision to go in there after 11 o'clock. I couldn't say, oh, what's the name had me going out there because we wanted to go out there. No, I made that decision. Even if you sit down and let somebody else make the decision, you made the decision already. So you can't go by and say somebody else made a decision that I didn't agree with. You have to be responsible for yourself at all times. God gonna love you no matter what, but while you're here on earth, man's gonna judge you.
Right.
People can say, oh, it's all, no, you ain't got to heaven yet. You still walking on these streets, walking down these highways. So you got to go by the laws that govern for everybody. And that's what we're trying to do. Get it so everybody can feel comfortable. Because, like I said before, I don't have no problem you smoking all your weed, but don't come asking me for money to pay your phone bill this month. And that's what a lot of brothers do. Think, oh, well, I can go ask you because God ain't told you that.
Here. Go ahead. No, I just want to say really quickly that it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And also, as long as you're able to govern yourself, I think that we should worry about what other people are doing because, quite frankly, everyone's sets of responsibilities are different. And we have to be, open to that as well. And also, I just find it funny that cigarettes are illegal and weed is not. I just find that really funny. But yeah, I think for me, responsibility is being consistent in reaching your daily goals. Showing a sense of discipline, which is not the easiest thing to do. Like myself, for instance, I'm budgeting. And budgeting has not been easy, but I did what you said, Mom, I've been writing everything down. And I feel really good, because I had an issue with budgeting before. But I think now that I'm in this place where I want the change to happen. So I have to be the person responsible for that change. So, as long as you have that mindset that, at the end of the day, in Buddhism, it starts with you. So everything starts with you. And if I'm not okay inside, then everything around me is not going to be, in accord. So I think as long as you have that mentality in the morning or whenever you wake up to realize that, it all starts with me, then, you know, you can walk through life not judging other people or not making other people feel bad for their choices, because we don't know why their choices are their choices. You know, there could be other things attached to it. You know, what if they're dealing with mental health? What if they're dealing with, you know, so before we're quick to say you shouldn't do this, you know, because this is not right, you know, you have to really remember that everyone does things for a reason. My grandmother says everything has a root. So, you know, what's the issue? Or if there is an issue, I mean, if people just smoke, just to smoke. But again, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. Now, if it's going to cause me harm, then I don't, if she ain't married, she ain't for me. No. So again, just make the choices that benefit you, and it makes you a better person. If it's not causing harm to anyone else, then I say, hey, do what you have to do.
Okay, according to my thinking, we can truly lie to one another. We can't lie to the Creator who made us really define our Creator to be. And for me, I feel that many of us pray. And as we pray, I feel it's like a responsibility, a very definition. And so one definition for prayer with me is lifestyle, our living, you know, day to day. And when we consider praying to our Maker, our Creator, then before we even pray, He knows and He has already heard whatever we're going to say. But on the one hand, in terms of daily living, it's like we're making a commitment to say, here I am. And then when we say, here I am, in terms of responsibility, then we are preparing and we're reporting for duty. And so some of us need to go someplace, and some of us need to do some things. And we each are accountable for our actions, for our choices, as we have said before. You know, we can help one another, we can reach out, but persons' actions are their choices. We can't change people or make people do things. And as I have always said, as a part of Common Ground, I feel that this is a wonderful institution and university that we have the freedom, you know, to come to. And in many instances, coming in here, and if we had to go pay for the class or whatever, we wouldn't have the money, you know, to pay for it. And you know, we get cable TV and all that kind of stuff. Well, you know, we compare Common Ground to that. We don't have the money to pay for it. That's not in our budget, it was mentioned a moment ago. So in the meantime, each one of us, hopefully, we would take the responsibility to be responsible for ourselves, to evaluate ourselves, and when we gain and glean information, we apply it to our lives where we need to apply, because all of us are not in the same place, and we'll never be in the same place. And we are each accountable for our thoughts, for our words, and for our actions. So again, I say we should daily evaluate ourselves, evaluate our actions, and evaluate our speaking.
Well, this is what I want to say. I hope the conversation didn't take people off course of the topic. You know, to let you know that the topic is responsibility. It's not your use of marijuana or whatever, so don't take those things personal in the circle. Know that we're trying to get to the core of responsibility. And I hope that that's what you get from it. Although it seemed like the topic of who smoke and who don't, why, and all that became the manifest of the conversation. It's really not. But I just felt somebody taking it that we were talking about strictly marijuana use.
No.
Which is not the case.
And so you just gonna go ahead and try to do my closing for
Oh,
me. Because that's exactly what I was going to say. As we bring this to a close, because I think we stopped at noon, right? Okay. As we bring this to a close, let's not lose our focus. I use that bag because I think as a good teacher, quite often, you take life application things and apply it. And it just came out, you know. That's me, that's my teaching style, is I go with the flow.
That's right.
But it was a perfect example of some of these things I had in my notes that I had read and studied over. One that was that we have to learn to be responsible for not helping others stumble. If I'm going to be my brother's keeper. And that's a large part of what this group is about. And it's about building community. It's not just weed, it's in all those other areas. Perfect example, that's sugar. Okay, you know I'm diabetic. Don't continuously sit that pound cake in front of me. Okay, and that ice cream. It ain't got nothing to do with marijuana. It's just simple stuff like that. Okay? We have to learn, part of being responsible citizens of the world, because we ain't to heaven yet, as somebody else pointed out, is learning to help each other, because that's all it amounts to. If I know something's going to be a person's stumbling block, don't. But when everything else is said, let's bring it back to responsibility. And I hope that one thing you'll do when you leave here, because I'll probably be gone, I might not see some of you until next summer, if the good Lord is willing, is think on these things. Responsibility. What we should have gleaned from the day is that it's an area that most of us can work in. I want to even go so far to say it's an area that we all can work in. Because we're never to our greatest, I believe, until we stop breathing. That's when we lose our greatness. When we stop breathing. And it comes for people in different forms. We don't always understand how it comes. But that's when we're at our greatest. Until then, we should always work to become better. And responsibility is an area that we should work in. You can really only do it for yourself. What you have to say to yourself, that's part of my accountability that I'm supposed to pray at 12. So I set an alarm. You have to do things to make it happen. And one is self-evaluation. Self-evaluation. Just learn to look at yourself. And as you go through the rest of the day, when Anthony's gone, however you meditate or whatever, say to your higher being, am I really help me to be able to evaluate myself and see where I'm at. Do I make excuses? Can I admit when I make a mistake? Just start to work on that, and you'll be surprised how far that'll take you on your journey. Because the ultimate challenge for most of us is learning to be able to evaluate ourselves. Because people, quite often, God will send people to help us on our journey. They'll be telling us what we need to know about ourselves, but we're not open to listen. So we have to get to a place where we can self-evaluate. Say self-evaluate.
Self-evaluate.
The final thing I'm going to say as I take my seat is God. God means a whole lot of different things to everybody.
Yes.
And we'll probably never come to universal, or if there's a such thing as the world coming to an end, it will be when we come to one understanding of God. I don't think we'll probably ever do that in most of our lifetime. But understand, quite often how God comes is through people. So we can make it, we make God way out there in the sky someplace, but He's in each of us. He's really in each of us. And when I see the God in you, you see the God in me, and that's how we really reach God. So don't take that part lightly. It's in us. God is in us. And so often we looking for God because most of us don't experience Him through voices. Okay? If you've been in some churches, you hear a lot of that. God don't tell you to stop at that stop sign. Okay? Most of the time. Okay? Which can cause you your life or not, right? You go through that red light, you might get hit and killed. But it's because of people who taught you that you stop at a red light. That's the godly part of it. It was through people. So let's never miss the God in each other, because that's how I think we really strengthen our journey, when we see the God in each other. And stop waiting on, some manna to fall from heaven for us to understand that it's God speaking. He's probably speaking in some of those people that you encounter today. Thank you for letting me share.
can you tell us where your church is located, what time service is?
Certainly. We meet in College Park. My church is called Hope Fellowship Ministry. We meet at 4 p.m. So we're not one of those early services at this time. We meet at 4 p.m. on the first, second, and the third Sunday. First, second, third Sunday. Hour and a half. We don't stay all day. Roderick's been there before. He know we in and out. Peter's been there. I would love to have you come share with us some Sunday. First, second, third Sunday, 4 p.m. It's 3241 Jackson Street, College Park, 30337. And I can write it down. I didn't have any cards.
I sent it out. And if anybody's familiar with the Tri-City Plaza, it's right next door to Tri-City Plaza. So we're going to have Mother Bessie come up and speak for us real quick. Close this out also.
I'm really almost on a pillar of tears. I just want, on behalf of all of us, I just want to really thank the pastor for coming today.
Thank you.
And I give honor and praise to God how he used you today. We all have, freedom. And then we all can make choices. And I just feel that each one of us, we have our own thinking, okay? But I feel that each one of us, we cannot go out every day and to say that we haven't been fed something that's very valuable and very important for us, because for the rest of our lives, we each are going to have the experiences that we're going to have. And hopefully we will be more responsible daily for ourselves, and we will use what has been given to us and what will be given to us to be the best self that we can be. And may we truly continue to be in one another, with one another, and in unity, and in prayer, as I said, in living our lifestyle in light of when we hear and when we see what's going on in the world today. So I just say, let's be wise, let's evaluate ourselves, let's be responsible and accountable and ready. Okay, and thank you so much, Pastor. Really appreciate it. Just come on.
Do we have any announcements before we close out?
Yeah, there's a study going on. I really don't know about it, but I got the information. You call in, it's for HIV positive people. They're gonna text you back information on email. So if you got email, you qualify. Then they will mail you $50 in check. It's for, you don't qualify, but you. But it's St. John the Loving, and it's a $50 study. It's through a survey on the computer. I don't know yet because they haven't sent it to me. But I called them at 9:30 on the other night. Somebody said, "Well, they closed." Then they got my number. How about 5 minutes later, she called me.
All right.
So don't let anybody else tell you what's the best thing for you.
Definitely.
That's to go back to responsibility. Do it on your own.
I just want to say one more thing. I passed out this bag of weed. It's more than amazing what God himself did with this bag of weed. But I do want to let you know that this happened to be oregano, rosemary, I think some mint, and some thyme that came from my garden. And I have just so much of it, I don't know what to do with it. So my husband, what's on that stuff? I said, I'm going to give it out. I'm not smoking it. But anyway, that's what these weeds are right here. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Andrew, right? Gary.
I just want to say, I don't know, I just on my heart, man. I'm just having a good day. I don't know how I end up here. I just want to say, man, anybody, just don't sweat the small stuff, you know what I'm saying? And, if you find yourself falling short, you know what I'm saying, just pick back up. Tomorrow's a new day. Every day is a new day. And I'm definitely learning that, learning new things about myself. And I just want everybody to stay encouraged.
Can you introduce yourself first?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, keep it late. Why don't you introduce yourself to you, please?
Okay, I'm Gary. I'm Gary. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. That's my love right here.
Bless your heart, baby.
Yeah, pray for me.
Yeah.